and the conversation that we should be having around school choices, that I should not have to choose my school. My local community school should be so well funded, so well staffed, so well resourced that no matter where I live and where I go, that is the best school, because all of the schools would be top notch.
If you watched KOCO this past week, there's a good chance you saw this person here, Representative Michelle McCain, a Democrat out of Tulsa, joining us right now. Representative, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So in that instance, you were talking about something that I was just talking with Senator Ali Seifert in the last segment, and that was the parental choice tax credit, the private school tax credit that you obviously oppose. You think it's bad. As a former teacher yourself, yes. English teacher, librarian. Go into a little bit more detail about why you don't think this is the priority that should be in place for Oklahoma.
Well, I think that it just creates a different type of segregation in our schools. The whole purpose of public education is that we decided that we believed that every child should receive a high quality, free education. And I understand that public education has some challenges and some things that they could improve on. I also think the state has to take responsibility for the legislation and things that they have passed, you know, the rhetoric of our previous superintendent and the impact of that on teachers as well. And so the whole goal for me is that every single public school is so well-resourced, well-funded, like I said, that no matter where you live, you can just go down the street and that school is great. And if you move across the state, that school is great, and you're not having to choose. We also have communities that don't have a private school option. So they don't even get the choice of participating in this. So how much school choice is it actually offering if only a limited number of children are allowed to access it?
You know, when you talk about every school being the right school for your child, I can understand that somebody might be watching this right now who maybe doesn't see things the same way as you and thinks that you're being idealistic when you talk about that. That would be great. We would love that, but that's not the reality that we're in. So this program is important because of that. How do you respond to that?
Well, I hear a lot of conversation about what education used to be, and so I would just question, what was the school choice voucher system like when my mom was in school or when my dad was in school? This time period that I hear a lot of people get nostalgic about, that, oh, education was great at this time.
When it did not exist.
It didn't exist then. So then why would you tell me that adding that is the solution to get back to the type of school that you believe that we used to have? I definitely understand that some people disagree, and I think that that's where you can take the time and money and resources to go and put your child somewhere else, but the state shouldn't be driving you there. The state should be offering that free public education to everybody.
I was talking to Senator Seifert in the previous segment about the fact that there is no income cap on this. So you have millionaires who are receiving this tax credit, but she said, you know, these are people oftentimes who have been paying into the public tax system with their property taxes and everything, that they've been paying towards public schools for many, many years. So for her, she sees it as it only being fair to be able to take some of that tax money back. How do you respond to that?
There are a lot of things that folks are paying taxes for that they may or may not personally use, and we don't have a system where at the end of the year I get to say, well, I want all my taxes back because I didn't drive this year, or I didn't go to the library this year, or I don't have a kid in school. That's not the way that works. I've paid taxes for services that I didn't use, and for me, I think about what that means for like my whole community. If I'm in a community where every kid is not able to access a high quality education, where everybody is not contributing to that tax base, I mean, we're only as strong as our weakest link. And so I look at it as, that means that I have somebody in my community who doesn't have what they need or who isn't able to really contribute to the community. We all are putting into that pot. We don't pull it back whenever we don't use this service, or we only use this 50% of the year. And so that logic to me doesn't make any sense. And also, we didn't tell them to take their child to private school. They could have kept their child in public school, which their taxes paid for, and it would have been significantly cheaper for them.
Overall, you were you taught middle school English, school librarian. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about literacy. Do you think the level of investment is going to be there? Because you have many colleagues on both sides of the aisle saying that they want to follow in the footsteps of Mississippi. Do you think that the state is ready to put enough money forward to be able to do what Mississippi did, which was a large investment?
I don't think we're ready to do that, and that's kind of the problem with that plan. I would love to see us have our own miracle, so to speak, but we're going to have to put our money where our mouth is if that's what we want to do.
Let me switch gears right now. We've got about 3 minutes. Brought you here also to talk about a bill that actually just passed unanimously out of committee right now. It really has nothing to do with education. It has to do basically with social media. You think about the content creators who are out there, kids with families or whoever that are making, in some cases, a lot of money on social media. Tell me about the bill that just got through committee that kind of looks after these young people's interests.
So House Bill 1016 is very similar to legislation that's been passed in Utah, in Minnesota, Illinois, California, and there are other states that have implemented things as well. It just applies to the adult content creator. It doesn't apply to the minor themselves. They have to keep some records about the work that the minor's doing, so how much they're in this content, how long they're working, because it is work that they're doing very often, even if it looks like candid video. Sometimes that's staged, or they may, do it again just to catch the moment, or it's a reenactment or something like
Sure.
that. So they're working, and it sets aside some of that compensation for them, and it also allows them, once they turn 13, to say, hey, that's not who I want to present online anymore. I'd like you to take that down. And it gives them some recourse if the law is violated, that they can seek civil action.
So if the parent or whoever made the content wants to keep it up, the kid can say take it down?
Yes.
Okay.
And they would have 7 days to remove it.
Because a lot of times, if you don't know how it works, like with, say, YouTube, videos continue to make money.
Exactly.
As long as it's on and there's views happening, it's making money.
Yes.
Sometimes a lot of money. Have there been horror stories? What led to something like this type of legislation?
I think people will probably know about the Ruby Franke case in Utah, this mom who was doing this family vlogger content and behind the scenes was abusing her
Okay,
kids.
yes, okay.
So that sort of thing. And it applies. You have to reach a certain threshold for it to apply. So it's not for the small creator that's making $50 in a year off of a couple of clicks. It is for those that are really generating some income for their household, and they're getting some of that from the children that are participating and wanting to make sure that if they're doing work, they're being compensated. Oklahoma doesn't have any current protections for them. We also don't have any protections for kids that are in film or TV, which was something that I discovered when I started looking into this. And so that'll probably be one of the next things that I look into, is how can we address that as we're trying to incentivize film and TV here.
Interesting. Less than 30 seconds here. Obviously, that bill, bipartisan effort right now, getting a lot of support. Other work you do has to be oppositional as a member of the minority party. How do you like to find the balance between doing both roles there?
I try to be really pragmatic, and I try to focus on what's the outcomes or benefits or the things that will happen with the implementation of the bill, and try to get out of the feelings about what our thoughts are on the idea and really look at those data points.
All right. Representative Michelle McCain, a Democrat out of Tulsa, joining us here this week on Oklahoma Chronicle. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for
Nice having
me.
you.